Hi, welcome back to, excuse me, Have a Go Spaghettio, the application of rational emotive behavior therapy principles in daily practice in the early childhood context. The Have a Go Spaghettio Success Helper chart contains 6 capabilities or dispositions that research says helps the individual work towards their goals and to deal with disappointment and upset in a healthy manner. So today we're going to apply the principles of Have a Go Spaghettio Success Helper approach to the situation of Edward the Emu. Edward the Emu lives in a zoo, unfortunately for him. And he thinks that he's not worthy of, not an emu of worth, because it seems that other animals in the zoo are more popular than he is. So he sets out to prove to himself that he can be worthwhile if he becomes the persona of another animal, which of course he can't. And I guess the connections with their students and their experiences is that sometimes we are not happy with our sense of self. We don't, or sometimes we might believe that we have no value, that other people don't treat us as we would like to, and therefore we'd like to change ourselves in some way. But so unconditional self-acceptance is helping children understand that their worth is not contingent on other people's perspectives or views on them, nor is it linked to how they achieve or otherwise. Their worth is given, and that's called unconditional self-acceptance. And that's the Red Success Helper, and it's called I'm Worthwhile Crocodile Thinking. So this is all based on rational emotive behavior therapy and Albert Ellis's ABC theory of emotional development's counseling paradigm. So let's go to the next slide. So we're talking about emotional literacy here. So we can promote emotional literacy through our own literacy program at school. So using the ABC theory of emotional disturbance, it's a tool to help children understand that as thinking individuals, constructivists, they may be constructing helpful ways of thinking or success helper ways of thinking, or they might be constructing unhelpful ways of thinking or brain bully ways of thinking, success stopper thinking. Now, when these habits of thinking become deeply held beliefs, it can be problematic for the developing child, who tends to think that they're only okay if I think they're okay or someone thinks they're okay. We want them to believe that they're okay even when other people don't. And so if we can introduce these ideas as early as possible, then I think our young people will have the tools to work on their thinking, to think about their thinking when they get to the stage of metacognition at the ages of 12 and onwards from there. So what's emotional literacy? I got this off the internet, Sharp 2012. Emotional literacy may be defined as the ability to recognize, understand, handle, and appropriately express emotions. Put more simply, it means using our emotions to help yourself and others succeed. So the Have a Go Spaghettio approach to social emotional learning is acquainting children with the link between their thinking, their perception, interpretation of what's happening around them, how they feel about what's happening around them, and the actions they choose in response to what's happening. So none of these things occur in isolation. Thinking is always attached to feelings and behaviors, etc. We can teach these basic principles to young learners in the early childhood context through various ways, and of course I'm advocating for the Have a Go Spaghettio approach. way of doing things, because in my experience, children respond quite well to it. Let's move on. Excuse me while I scratch myself. So who's Edward the emu? Well, Sheena Knowles is the author. Edward the emu is about Edward's boredom with being an emu and his desire to be other zoo animals. He embarks on a series of misadventures, attempting to be a seal, a lion, a snake, ultimately realizing the value of his own identity. The story is told through Sheena Knowles' rhyming text and Rod Clement's expressive illustrations. So this is about I'm worthwhile crocodile thinking, and we would say, or we would agree, if I was talking to the young people, is what Edward the emu thinking? Is it a brain bully way of thinking that you're not happy, you don't want to be an emu, you want to be something else? And can we help Edward the emu be happy being an emu and celebrate the fact, and to be happy and content with his own feathered skin? So just to revisit the Success Helper chart they're the 6 capabilities that we're teaching our children. Each one of them is underpinned by a thinking, feeling, doing paradigm, the Albert Ellis's ABC theory of emotional disturbance. We reckon if people get on with each other, can accept others as we accept ourselves. We teach children that if they can hang in there when the going gets tough, develop high frustration tolerance and internal locus of control, that will help them achieve their goals by and large. A lot of the time, sometimes no, but then again, failure or success has nothing to do with their worth. Green Success Helper is time management, being organised, having the things you need to do what you set out to do. Purple is I keep coolio at schoolio, meaning I can control my feelings, because when I think about something, I can put it into perspective and understand that it's not the worst thing that can ever happen. So we teach kids how to decatastrophize. Purple Success Helper. Red Success Helper to me is the cornerstone of psychological resilience, well-being. I'm worthwhile crocodile thinking. It means my worth isn't tethered to what you think about me or how well I do at tasks. And the orange, we're all okay. I accept myself unconditionally. I accept you unconditionally. That's the red and the yellow. You put red and yellow together and you get orange, which happens to be the international colour of harmony, I believe. So it's a nice little package. It's a nice reference for teachers to teach and children to learn. On the left there we have the emotional thermometer. Again, we want to help children identify the strength of emotion, what it is that they're feeling. And then we want to link it to how you're interpreting what's happening around you. And that's where the catastrophe scale comes in. Is it possible that what you believe to be quite catastrophic or a big problem is not as big as you believe it is? And let's compare what's happening with other things, possible things that could go wrong. So in my estimation, and my recommendation is that every teacher, I recommend that they have a catastrophe scale, generic catastrophe scale, emotional thermometer, and the Have a Go Spaghettio Success Helper chart in the room, with a view to helping children ultimately to develop their own individual catastrophe scale, so that they can refer to often and get them into the habit of doing that, even just the mechanics of doing that at this stage of their development. We're providing the tools to help them onwards. So basically, in terms of the ABC theory of emotional disturbance, provided through the rational emotive behavior therapy theory of Albert Ellis, A is what happens. Well, the happening is that Edward is in a zoo and he's not happy being an emu because he thinks that other people are better than him, because it seems that they're more popular than he is. And he wants that reward, he wants that recognition and admiration from others to validate his sense of self-worth, which is needing the approval of others, which is a conditional self-acceptance perspective, or a success stopper for I'm worthwhile crocodile. So what's Edward thinking? No one likes me, I'm unlikable, it's not fair, this is really bad, what's the point? This is so bad, I really can't stand it, it's awful. So what kinds of feelings and behaviours are attached to that mindset? Pretty sad, unlikable, tries to be other animals, feels worthless and gives up. So this is what's happening in Edward's world at the beginning of the story by, is it Sheena Knowles? Edward the emu there can be accessed through that QR code. So if you don't have the book, you can look at the video. If you have both, well and good. So this is a strategy that you might use as we looked at and considered when we considered Arthur the brown dog's situation when he's in a pet shop and no one chooses him. We can construct Edward's catastrophe scale and brainstorm what might be things that Edward would worry about. What concerns would he have? And these are some suggested ones, and you might want to add to that through the children, who will have their own ideas. No one comes to see me, no one likes me is a problem. My friend won't play with me. I've got an itchy foot, I'm sick and need to go to hospital, to the emu hospital. My friend has a cold, I feel sad. My dad has pecoritis of the beak. Now, the thing that is Edward the emu is thinking at this point in time is that not enough people are showing him enough attention, that it's a 9 out of 10 catastrophic occurrence. So when we present these other possibilities to Edward, he may put this whole scenario into a different perspective. So he'll at B of the ABC theory of emotional disturbance, he'll alter his perception of the event. He'll change his thinking about what's happening. So just to reiterate or go over or repeat what I just said, in terms of the ABC theory of emotional disturbance, we've decided that the A part of that, or what happened, is that no one seems to be giving Emu the approval that he needs to feel like an okay emu. So his first pattern of thinking, or his first mindset, B1, is somehow that diminishes me as an emu. I'm not worthy of respect. I don't like me. I need to be someone else for me to be okay. And that leads to C1 kinds of feelings and behaviors, feeling sad, depressed, behaving in ways that are odd for an emu, if that can be possible. And then what we do then is the D part is disputation of Emu's irrational perspectives, and that's the catastrophe scale. We present to Emu these ideas that maybe proves that what he's thinking is probably not success helper or brain friend thinking, is success stopper or brain bully thinking, or irrational, as we might say. So we present the evidence, D, to Emu, and we shift his thinking from B1 to B2. Now I don't think that I'm such a bad, personality or entity, because, I'm an emu, and what's the point of me trying to be what I'm not? And it's okay being an emu. So the change in mindset or approach to the event, thinking about the event, results in a new way of thinking, a new philosophical outlook, a new way of thinking about himself. So we call that E. So the ABCDE theory of emotional disturbance, that's how we apply it in practice. And I think this illustrates how if we have an understanding of the ABC theory of emotional disturbance, which is a counselling paradigm which is used by counsellors and psychologists beyond the school when children go to or seek help outside the school system, that we can teach these same things in daily teaching practice. I think that's the benefit of us understanding what the ABC theory is and learning how to use it as we go. So there's lots of different ways we can use it. It's another arm to our literacy program. This is emotional literacy. It's another string to the literacy bow, if you like, and children respond well, especially when you can use it to analyse, explore popular literacy like Edward the Emu, which the kids love. So do I. So I always include the Have a Go Spaghettio song. We sing it every day. We talk to the children about today's new day. There's going to be opportunities for learning to have fun. There's going to be barriers in our way. How are we going to deal with those? But essentially, at the end of the day, we're always worthwhile crocodile. So that's the cornerstone of psychological resilience, emotional well-being, is I'm worthwhile crocodile thinking. We want to head off at this juncture, this early childhood phase, the ideas that can be formulating that I'm only okay if you think I am, where children will develop an attitude of I need the approval of others rather than I prefer them to approve of me, but I don't need their approval. Very important stage of their development and their learning, and this kind of learning, I believe, needs to be instituted in the school system, especially in the early childhood context. Have a Go Spaghettio. And lastly, we'll leave you with a quote by Albert Ellis. There are many there on the internet. Reality is not so much what happens to us, rather it is how we think about those events that create the reality we experience. In a very real sense, this means that we each create the reality in which we live. So going back to Edward had constructed a reality through his perceptions and interpretations of his life to date that said he was only worthwhile if he wasn't an emu. But we helped him reconfigure that thinking. We presented the evidence to Edward that the D part of the ABC theory of emotional disturbance, we challenged that errant belief and tried to get him to think, or he understood eventually, that I'm okay the way I am and it doesn't make sense to try and be what I'm not. So that's I'm worthwhile crocodile thinking. Until next time, all the best, and have a Go Spaghettio and give it a try, banana pie. All the best. Bye.